There has been lots of debate in recent years when it comes to the reboots of classic TV shows and movies. One point of contention has been the casting choices for old classics under the guise of reimagination. Race swapping and sex swapping characters have been a huge point of debate, with many feeling that any type of reboot should stay true to the original race. I have personally always found it weird how obsessed American creators have been over the years with race swapping characters, but up until recently, it has always gone a different way. I remember watching Dragon Ball Evolution and finding it very weird that Goku was now all of a sudden a white Canadian. It was equally as weird when I watched the American version of Death Note and saw how much they changed up the characters. Ultimately, although it was strange seeing these different versions of beloved characters, all I cared about was the story, which sucked in both cases. The shift is now starting to happen in the opposite direction, though, where beloved classic characters who used to be written as white all of a sudden get swapped out, revealing them to have a different sexual orientation or race. In my honest opinion, I have never been bothered by it. I do not care what race or sexual preference a character has, even when it comes to old classics, as long as they respect the original work and, more importantly above all else, write a good story. Velma does not have to be white or straight for the story to be good. My problem is that the story is almost always bad. Although more equal representation is always great, it seems like the people who are responsible for this shift always feel like once you have changed the race or sex of the character, the work is now done, forgetting that the story still needs to be written. It is far too often that we see these reimaginings of stories where it just downright sucks due to poor writing and the creators having no respect for the original work or the fanbase. They write a poor story, do not follow the lore at all, and then when they get backlash for this, they use diversity as a shield to protect them from criticism, which ends up hurting the people that they try to represent even more. If you swap an old cast in favor of a more diverse one, you do have the responsibility to make the story great, especially when dealing with a classic IP. Anything else than that will have a massive negative impact on the people that you are trying to represent. The fact is that you can't even point out that one of these shows is bad without being labeled certain names, even if your critique has nothing to do with the casting choices. A good example of this happened on Moist Critical Stream, where he stated the show looked bad for going after the fans. His criticism was immediately dismissed as racist.
Man, this screams like a show made by people that hate the audience that they're borrowing the IP from. What is the point? Like, why not just make your own original one? Why immediately antagonize people who just want Scooby-Doo? Why is everyone who works in the industry so angry all the time? Yeah, I don't get the point of that one. Thanks to the resub Protector, Chicken Apple, Gabby, and the Prime Dookie. Why do you just keep saying white guy take? What? Is that bait or a joke? I couldn't give a fuck less what they do with characters. They're well within their right to. I just don't get the point. The literal opening line to this is just immediately shitting on legitimately everyone that would have cared about Scooby-Doo. It's meta in the worst way. I just don't see the point. It's like the Halo show. What's the point? You made a show that immediately shits on people that like the property. Why? Why use the property then just make your own? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's self-aware of incel toxicity, but it's not incel toxicity. This is legitimately anything. It's people that just like the original property.
When I heard this new version of Judy Jetson wouldn't be boy crazy, the only word I had to describe my disgust is jinkies. If there is one thing the internet agrees on, it's that you should never change anything ever.
See, like, it's just, that has nothing to do with incels or anything. It's just people that like the property. That has absolutely nothing at all to do with incels or anything. Why do you think... Are you being serious? I can't... Who is in this chat right now? Why do you think caring about Scooby-Doo entails keeping a character white then? I haven't said anything about her skin color. This is the most Twitter shit of all time. All I'm saying is the opening line is immediately just shitting on people that like the property in general. I have said legitimately nothing about her skin color. Like, I actually think half of these people are legitimate racists that immediately turn everything into skin color. I have, as I've said twice now, I don't care what they do with a character's skin color at all. I am saying this opening line is immediately just shitting on fans of the property that they are borrowing from. That's it. I've seen 4 different people say that same shit now, and I legitimately think you are racist.
When it comes to the showrunner itself, she has made it very clear that she did not care at all about the backlash. In a screenwritten article called "Why Mindy Kaling is Unbothered by Velma Recasting Backlash," they say,
Having previously spoken out on the subject, Mindy Kaling is now sharing why she is unbothered by the Velma recasting backlash. Kaling stars in the upcoming HBO Max series as the titular Scooby-Doo character, with the show said to explore the origins of Mystery Inc. before they traveled the world solving mysteries. Developed by the Mindy Project alum Charlie Grandy, Velma is also changing tactics by bringing an R-rated approach to its world and characters, with Velma and her friends getting wrapped up in very gruesome cases. While most audiences have praised the diverse casting choices and the updated appearances to the central group, including making Velma of South Asian descent, Shaggy becoming black, and Daphne Asian to better fit their actors, there has been a large amount of backlash regarding the various changes to the popular characters. Now, one of the creatives driving Velma forward is sharing their thoughts on the situation.
Now once again, all of these changes to the characters are not why so many are angry at the show. Dismissing people's anger over the show by cutting it down to that is not a fair representation of how people feel. Most feel anger over the writers going after fans. Most feel anger over the fact that the story gets changed so much that it does not even feel like it belongs in the same universe anymore. Most feels like the writers themselves despise the original work and the fanbase. If that is the case, which it feels like it is, why not just make a new show with a new IP instead of going after a classic? Winx Club was not so long ago in the news for the same reason. An old classic completely changed. The writers for that show at least had the guts to admit that they did not watch all of the original and even went as far as to say that they were not fans of the original work. This begs the question, why even agree to do the show if you do not like it? Or more importantly, why hire someone to do the show if they do not like it? Anyway, in the article the lead actress goes on to say,
I think of the characters in this as so iconic, but in no way is the gang defined by their whiteness, except for Fred. Oh, I was a little bit surprised, and I think most Indian American girls, when they see this skeptical, hardworking, kind of underappreciated character, can identify with her.
Now once again for me, the race of the character does not matter, but this does look like an egotistical person trying to insert herself into a classic story, making a character that has nothing to do with her completely revolve around her. Velma should not be an expression of this actress. It should respect the original work because you are taking from the original work. If you want to express yourself through a character, create a new one, but I guess that is too much work.